Hi, I'm Josh, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to start off in graphic design. So, graphic design, it's one of those things where people think it's like a weird thing to get into. It's hard to get into, or you have to be super talented. You have to be really good at using computers and all that kind of stuff. But the matter of the fact is that if you've got enough drive and if you're committed enough, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Be like graphic design, animation, whatever. People say you have to have an eye for design, but you can learn that. And I really believe that anyone can become a graphic designer. I'm going to give you some pointers on where you could start if you want to start learning design. Let's get into it. So, first of all, what equipment do you need? What do you need to start designing? Everyone thinks you need this super cool computer, you need like the best MacBook or Mac you can get. But the matter of the fact is, the first thing you really need is a notebook and a pen. That is where design starts and that is where ideas are born. So you need to get yourself a notebook, one like this one. It's from Muji and it was £4.50, which is pretty good. I like these ones because they're dotted, which means you can write on it in notes and stuff. You can take a brief down really easily, and it's just really helpful for stuff like sketching out and doing thumbnails, which I'll get onto in a minute, because it's really flexible and it gives you a little bit of structure to help you do that. If you have just a lined notepad, the lines will get in the way of your thinking and how you're going to design. And if you have a blank notepad, then I feel personally like you quickly get a bit overwhelmed by what you should be doing. So the dots really do help keep you on track, and they help you draw straight lines and they help you measure out things because they're all 0.5 of a centimetre or 5 mil between each dot. So yeah, get a notebook. Secondly, get a pen. I like this one. It's also from Muji. I just like Muji if you couldn't tell. It's just a really simple, nice black ballpoint pen. And then you can get different variations of pens. So when you're doing your thumbnails and doing your designs, you can highlight different bits, or you can show different thicknesses of lines, you can show different weights of fonts that you want to use. But at the moment, I'm just rocking one pen and maybe like a blue one as well. But a lot of people choose to get like brush pens, like artist brush pens. I'll put some in the description, because when I was at college they told us to get all these things. Told us to get these brush pens, but I don't really use them because they're really expensive and I don't really see the point most of the time. I'm going to break it to you, you do need a computer if you want to start doing digital design. It's just how it is nowadays. You need to get the computer, you need to get something that can run the programs that you need to use. I would suggest a computer, whether that's Windows or Mac. Yes, I don't really care if it's Windows or Mac. I use Mac because of the workflow, but Windows or Mac doesn't really matter. I'd suggest about 8 gigabytes of RAM minimum. I'd suggest at least 500 gigabytes of storage because you're going to be storing a lot of stuff. Ideally, you'd want about a terabyte, but you can sort that out with like a hard drive or something like that. A decent enough chip. Now, Intel is actually a little bit better than Ryzen for this, just because of how it handles Adobe programs and how Adobe caters for Intel more than Ryzen chips. So you're looking for a chip like 9th or 10th gen. You can probably go with like an i3 or an i5, but the bigger the better as always, because Photoshop hogs memory and hogs processing power. So you need that. You'll also need software. Software is a big one. The industry standard, as it has been for the last like 20 years now, is actually Adobe. And the latest set of programs is called Creative Cloud. If you're a student or if you're a teacher, you actually get it like less than half price. It's like £15 a month for the whole thing. And you get all your video editing programs, you get your animation programs, you get your design programs like InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop. For Mac, there's another program for prototyping and for designing web and apps called Sketch, which is something I learned in college and I've not used since because I just used Adobe XD because that's just come on leaps and bounds since then. So you could always get Sketch and start learning that because that's pretty damn good.
What's your profanity?
If you're just starting out a design, grab the Adobe Creative Cloud 10-day trial for each program. And you just need to get the basics. You need InDesign, Photoshop, and Illustrator. And they are the 3 main things you need. Photoshop is an image editing app, and it works with raster images, which means it's individual pixels. And it's all worked out from pixels. So the bigger you explode 1 pixel, the less detail you get, and vice versa. But that's good for like editing photographs, like basic GIFs and stuff like that. And then you've got Illustrator, which is a vector-based program, which simply means that it works out all of the dimensions and all lines and curves and everything using mathematics. So it doesn't matter how big, how small you get, the detail will always be there. So that's really good for illustrations, as it's called Illustrator. And logo design and just general stuff like that. And then you've got InDesign. It's mainly for print design or like presentation stuff like that. And that's really powerful for text editing and for copywriting and stuff like that. I love InDesign. It's one of my favorite programs ever. You can do so much on it. And then the last piece of equipment you'll need is your noggin. You need your brain, and you need to engage your brain, and you need to not think of the first idea. Get the first idea out of the way. Get it out of the way. The top idea is usually not the best idea. And as you keep on digging, you'll go through some real stinker of ideas. But as you keep on digging, you get closer and closer to the gold, which is the idea that you'll carry on for the rest of the process. So use your brain, engage your brain, and don't just run with the first idea you come up with, because it's usually not the best. After your equipment, I'd look at your design principles. And I'm thinking of doing a series on design principles. There's 5 main design principles to go through. There's alignment, repetition, contrast, hierarchy, then there's balance. There's balance through tension and balance through symmetry. I'll go through all these in like separate videos, but your design principles, really important. They're like the basics of design. And if you can get them down and understand exactly what they are and what they mean, you can start coming up with more and more ideas, and you can learn what is good and what is bad design and how you can improve your own work as well. I'll put a link in the description, and that's going to be a link to Shillington's website, which has all the design principles laid out there. Well, all them 5 that I just mentioned. And then you need a design process. So how are you going to actually tackle the design? How are you actually going to get from the brief to the final output and production? And Shillington does have like a guide to this, it's like a 13-step guide. It's quite long and extensive, but I think they put everything they could think of in that guide. So I'll just go through it quickly. So you got the brief, market research, you got your mood boarding, you got your brainstorming / ideas, you got your thumbnailing, very important part of the process. You got your concept development, you got your visual exploration, you got your concept refinement, client feedback, revisions, client approval, final delivery, and then you've got production. So that's 13 steps. It's not something you need to stick to fully. Every single designer has a different process, but that's just a really quick guide of everything you need for like if you were doing a big project for a client. Next, what do you need? You need determination. You need determination and drive to keep on going. When you first start designing, your first design is not going to be the greatest design. Even if you follow the process, even if you learn all the design principles, even if you have all the equipment, even if you do everything properly and correctly, your first design probably won't be your best ever design. And that's okay. You've got to be okay with it. You've got to have the determination to push through that and carry on going. You will get through it. But the thing is, your first design isn't going to be incredible, but you learn from it. And that is what success is. It's learning from your mistakes. No one is successful overnight. No one is successful on the first try. You've got to fail to be successful. And that is something I live by. Lastly, but not least, your ideas are what will sell, okay? It doesn't matter how skilled you are. You could know every single shortcut to every program in the Adobe suite. You could have the fastest computer in the world, but if your idea is poop, it doesn't matter, the client won't like it. You can roll your poop idea in glitter, roll it up in a bowl, and you can make it look all fancy. But at the end of the day, that is still a poo dressed up in glitter. who. Your idea is what will sell. You don't have to have the best skills. You don't have to have the best knowledge of any program or anything. You just need to have a great idea. That is where you need to put a lot of your time in the design process. Because if you have a great idea and you can't execute it, you can always look at a tutorial. You can always go and ask someone else for help in executing that idea. But if you've got a good idea, the client will like it, and that is what will make you money. Anyway, I hope that all made a lot of sense to you. There is so much more to design than what I've just laid out, them 5 things. And I hope that on this channel I can keep on going through things, and I'll expand on stuff like design principles, design process, inspiration. If there's anything else that you think I've missed out, please comment it below. Let me know. And if you've liked this video and it's been helpful to you, please give it a like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.